Nothing seems to stick on Apple. We know that. By the way, the stock is now $20 higher than the median price target of the 40-plus analysts who cover the equity. Number one, what do you expect to hear out of the Worldwide Developers Conference today? And number two, Joe, is the stock simply gotten ahead of its skis?
Well, yeah, I mean, today, obviously, the focus is on, Apple making that move away from Intel chips to power its Macs and to their ARM-based A-series chips. And this has always been rumored now for the past 2 to 3 months, but you talk to a lot of guys in the tech world. This was just a matter of when, not if. Everyone knows Intel's been having a lot of issues on the supply side of things. They've had some management shakeups over the past year or two, and they did bring in a financial guy to run the ship versus a tech architecture guy. So this kind of shows that there's some real worries about Intel's performance, and that's really the real motive behind the move. So here we go. Now Apple can move forward and have more control of their ecosystem with their own design. So that's definitely the focus. The new chips, which will offer markedly better, performance, especially towards graphics and AI tasks across the Mac lineup. And as far as
this conference, of course, was always famous with the and one more thing and all the stuff that they did and these big events that they would have multiple times a year. Is some juice going to be lost because it's virtual, Joel?
Yeah, you would think so. I mean, I still think you're always going to have your Apple fanboys. Everyone will be kind of online in some form, checking it out. And as you highlighted earlier, has the stock gone too far? It's obviously with pretty much at all-time highs. It's a very tough setup. What incremental are we going to pull out of this event today? Probably nothing, that juicy. The focus for the second half remains on the iPhone launch and the 5G story. Hopefully, we'll get some more details over the next 1 to 2 months. Closer to the launch. That really remains the focus for the stock and how investors, if it's going to continue to work into year end. But typically, when you see Apple have these big moves into events, it usually becomes a sell the news type of event.
Well, yeah, and I'm going to ask you this, Joel. Do you think the stock has been moving higher because of the company and its products? Or do you think the stock is moving higher in part because it's the number one holding of pretty much every hedge fund? It's the number one holding in most of the big ETFs that are out there. And it's simply as people put money into, quote, the market, the biggest stocks, like Apple, are going to get their lion's share of the action.
Yeah, it's funny. I read something this morning. Look at the FANG plus Microsoft and NVIDIA. They've added about 1.7 trillion in market cap this quarter alone, collectively up about 36%. So clearly, it's a rising tide. Name any one of those companies are benefiting from just the kind of aggressive, I won't call it blind, but borderline blind rotation into tech. And there's reasons behind that, whether it's scarcity of growth out there, the green light from Powell and Company, and end of the day, just kind of retail frenzy as well. People buy what they know, and that remains a lot of these consumer-facing tech companies that kind of we all know that make up the FANG complex.
Do you think big technology should still be bought? And by that, I mean, and by the way, I guess what I was thinking as you said that, FANG, we should do FANG Man, I guess, because there's 2 A's in FANG, and then you add the M in the end, so FANG Man, I guess would be the new thing. Who knows? Which I think is a Soundgarden song. But it's early. Yeah. Do you think that big tech as a group, Joel, should still be bought because it's being bought, or again, are there better opportunities elsewhere in your coverage universe?
Yeah, I think you need to be selective. As we said, all the large cap, mega cap tech names globally have been on an absolute tear. There's going to be a pullback at some point. There always is. And if you think any differently, you're going to get burned if you just chase things. So I think when it comes to large cap growth, you want to stick towards the cloud. You look at recent CIO surveys, 80% of respondents, they see that coming out of COVID, they're just seeing the digital transformations and shift to the public cloud accelerate much more aggressively than planned. And currently, ahead of before COVID really kicked off, only about 20% of IT budgets were geared towards the public cloud. A lot of CIOs see that number rising up to 44% over the next 4 years. So that's where the money should be going.
Doubling.
Yeah, exactly.
So on a percentage basis, doubling.
Yep. So,
but Joel, there's got to be other stocks that benefit, right? I mean, it's not just Amazon, is it? There's got to be other companies that are going to get some of those trillions or hundreds of billions of dollars that are being tossed around.
Yeah, so a few other than Microsoft and Salesforce as large caps. You look at a name like Nuance. It's a cloud healthcare pure play. They have a product called Dragon Medical. It helps just kind of automate the entire process from documentation to client care. It's much more reasonable evaluated than other cloud, SaaS names. So Nuance is a very interesting story. And then in the semi world, it's been a tale of two stories. You have the crowded AMDs, NVIDIA of the world that are more geared toward the data center. And then obviously you have the 5G, Marvell, Skyworks, Qorvo. I think you got to look at some of these automotive names. They've been beat up. They're lagged. They're a lot more attractive from a valuation point of view. And there are signs of green shoots. China May sales were up 15%. CarMax had a very good update on Friday as well. So the auto environment is improving. So look at names like, On Semi, which is historically the redheaded stepchild of the group. But I think you want to look for names that have a chance to really surprise to the upside in the margin front. On NXP, Microchip had a great update a couple of weeks ago as well. So those are kind of names I'm discussing more with clients versus just going with the obvious ones that everyone kind of knows that have had, that have been leading up to this point.
I like it.